but I can't get you off my mind. Not a smooth talker under pressure. Sweaty palms ain't making it much better. Something about you feels so special. Pretty over from the minute that I met you.
Beach Ultimate Club Champions.
Thank you and enjoy the show.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the beach here in Gdańsk, Poland for EBUCC, the European Beach Ultimate Club Championships. You're currently watching the quarterfinal in the women's division, or one of the quarterfinals in the women's division. Polonki versus Sharks. Polonki from Poland and Sharks from Barcelona. Polonki starting on offense with a pretty speedy turnover. An immediate capitalization before I can even collect my thoughts, collect my words. Sharks start off this game with a break. I'm Gigi Morrison, and possibly temporarily, maybe not, unsure, I'm joined by Benji Rees.
Hello,
Sam Murphy
I'm not
is
Sam
possibly on his
Murphy,
way.
yes. Despite what the graphic may say. This is Ruthless from Sharks. You get the turnover on the overthrow and swing, and immediately you pounce that low release to sneak it under the mark into the end zone. Sharks, I think, are a side that when they're feeling it and they're in full flow, they are so tough to stop because they play with such energy and vibrancy that it's difficult to keep a lid on that.
You just get a quick shot there of some of the scorekeepers doing their jobs wonderfully here. You can keep track of the live scores from the EBUCC live website. You can keep track of all of the games, not just the live ones going on right now on pitch 1, the show pitch.
Yeah, live.ebucc.eu, the website for that.
So another opportunity for Polonki. Faced up against a 4-person cup square, some sort of zoney look here at the front.
We saw Sharks deploy this against Brighton women. If you can get past that front line, there's a lot of room to work with. But especially with blustery conditions in the stadium field, it's a trickier proposition.
They're doing well so far, having to go to knees to receive. Dish through the middle. Really fast movement. They found their flow. Frenchek sends the leading backhand into the end zone. Beautiful, clean hole from Polonki.
Yeah, that's a nice way to get on the board. What I liked is when they got past that front line, they played with pace, but not with... they weren't frantic at all. You know, they appreciated that, let's keep it moving without rushing any throws. Still keeping measured, still keeping in phase, and then just a fake. That draws the mark over a little bit towards that side. That means that there's plenty of space to just sit this backhand onto the wind, into the end zone for the score. Lovely throw that from Julia Urbanska.
And you might be able to pick up from the mics, but the wind is definitely picking up. You can see some hair blowing in the wind. We are possibly predicting a storm, another storm front. We had one yesterday that was pretty gnarly.
No. It'll blow past. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I love your confidence. I did say possibly. I didn't say it was definitely going to happen.
I have zero confidence in that. I'm just trying to speak my truth and hopefully speak it into existence.
I respect that. Kobos securing. Quick rise of the backhand. Receives again. Beautiful slash cut across from Colomer. Kobos has a deep option, does take it on. Thought that was initially intended for Perez, but does find Colomer. Just outside the end zone, there's been a pick called.
Yeah, not sure it'll affect the dump to ulti.TV zone, Luna Andrade there. With the deep shot, it's exactly what you're told. They are going to send it back because it happened a few seconds ago. If you get to a high school, what do? Well, you air it out and hope that someone can get on the end of it. And there are a couple of Sharks in the area to snaffle it down.
Beautiful inside flick throw phenomenal start from Sharks. A little bit of a gradual beginning to that point there. Some stoppages did slow it a bit down, but again, commanding performance, starting off with a break and now a hold, a clean hold. And I am delighted to now be joined, sorry Benji, with Sam Murphy in the booth.
Hello. Good to see you again.
How are you doing? How was your first game
It was great. Yeah, we played a pre-quarter. We're through to quarters. I sat down as a loyal ulti.TV subscriber to watch the stream in the tent and realized I was meant to be commentating on it. So I'm a little bit late, but glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. We're very happy to have you. See, you've got pastries with you. Delicious.
Yeah, got a refuel. How's this game going?
This is going really well so far. Sharks have started off with a break and have gotten a clean hold. Polonki have also gotten themselves a clean hold. The second one after the break.
Definitely know Sharks well. They're a beach staple, but interested to see Polonki and see how they match up with the Spanish team.
Yeah, so far, Polonki coming into this game with 3 wins and a loss. That is to match Sharks' 3 wins and a loss too.
Okay.
The Sharks coming down with the initial zone look, now moving to match defense. Polonki doing really well to find the space. Quick fakes around. Mujanik. Sokan rising. There is an option, but the defender's on the back shoulder, applying enough pressure just to box her out.
Yeah, great pressure there from Sharks. Seemed like they'd managed to work it to the break side for that scoring shot, but as we found with this heavy sand, sometimes even a sure thing can be hard to bring in. So see Sharks maybe first opportunity to break, but yeah, great defensive pressure there.
San Marco picking up the disc. Get things moving for Sharks' D-line. Cut powers through and under. My goodness, they're so fast on this sand. Prada. Flow has stopped slightly. Defender toppled over, but able to stand up again. Beautifully done. Number 13 shirt, who I don't actually have on our roster. I'll have to find it on a different roster, but phenomenal work from Sharks to give them their second break.
Yeah, just incredible speed from the Sharks. Offense on the turn there. Seemed like they weren't fatigued at all by the playing defense for a minute or so beforehand. I think I'd love to see a 100-meter race on grass with all the players at this tournament, followed by a 40-meter race on sand. I think the results would be shocking in that so many of these, especially the kind of Iberian players, seem to be so nippy across the sand. You just can't keep up, and Sharks showed that speed wins there.
Yeah, it's a whole other sport. You can't look at a grass team and think, oh, they're definitely going to beat me on the beach, because it's whole other nature. I don't know what it takes to
100%
to get that fast.
My first EBUCC experience, which I think was the first one with an Irish team called Sandjob, went in essentially an Irish national team on grass and won 1 game over the course of 8. Were thoroughly humbled by the beach, so it's certainly a very different game out here.
There's those blustering flags. Andrade with a huge pull. Disc almost bubbling up, but not a problem for Marjalek. Blady flick, again caught the wind. Not enough power in the wrist, not enough snap. Sharks have the short field. That does rise on the second reception. Can they get it? No!
Yeah, definitely tough. It seems like it's more of a crosswind today than yesterday from what I've seen so far, or at least how my throws were not coming out of my hand as planned. So you can see anything over to the side pointing at the camera seems to be, if you have any kind of lip up on the disc, the wind is catching it and making those receptions really, really difficult.
So Polonki now faced up against this poachy defensive set from Sharks. Sitting low into the flick. Arendt dishes back and around to Lipovska. Just going back and forth. Lipovska again having to go to knees. Squat down in the sand. And the swarm of defenders is really slowing Polonki down. They're trying to get them to do as many throws as possible, and a travel has been called. The shake of the head from my co-commentator says he doesn't agree with the travel call.
The ground certainly moved. I don't know. I guess the foot moved by
by default.
by default, but I mean, it's a travel.
Dish back. Rudy. Marjalek. One simple mistake. That's exactly what Sharks is trying to force. Andrade. Prada. Beautiful cut across. Trevino. Back to Andrade. Really not afraid to take on some of the riskier options, but Made, the defense, swiping that down.
Yeah, very different styles of defense. It seems like Sharks may be almost zoning, just forcing Polonki into the middle of the field where they have most of their defenders, not wanting them to take those around shots, and almost just containing the Polonki offense. Polonki, on the other hand, just playing person defense and seeing if they can match up and getting a block there.
The long shot from Marjalek does find receiver in Arendt. Polonki will be pretty happy with that one. I mean, it took a few turns, quite a few passes. There was a total of 19 passes from Polonki.
It may be like with the Sharks defense being a little bit looser there, there's probably the instinct to just take the open pass, which is maybe 3 yards away from you, and just play the easy game. But I think if they're going to condense the field that much, the Sharks defense, where they just put everyone in around the disc, you have to look over the top and see if you can stretch it out a little bit, even if it just creates some more space around the disc for your offense going forward. But lovely deep shot there.
And some great patience facing up against the zone. It can often be quite tempting to just jam it through the middle as quickly as you can. But having the cognizance to take the passes on that you need to, providing the cuts as well, so slicing through the middle, the quick give goes. Some fantastic work. Just waiting for the pull to sit. Kobos. Quick slash across, coming to the other sideline. Mas trying to find Kobos, but slips off the fingertips. The Polonki break opportunity. Tries to find the dump and does. Volosevic calling a foul. Accepted immediately. Check back in. A lot of the initial cuts under being poached off of, but the wind causing some havoc for catching as well as throwing.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear at home, but there was definitely a major pickup in the gusts in the last 10 or so seconds. So tough time for Polonki to get maybe one of their first break chances, and the wind decides to wreak havoc and play as a sixth defender.
You can certainly see it in the flags across the grandstand there. I always think that the wind is definitely, the sixth defender is just so annoying to work around sometimes.
Especially on the beach where people's closing speed just isn't the same, and you can see the wind pulling it further and further. It's torturous sometimes as it drags the disc away from the receiver you were aiming for.
Yeah. Korziska looking for the long around. Volosevic with the inside flick has quite a few receivers, but there's also defenders in that space, and it's Sharks disc. Quick bubble, but confidently caught again. Kobos. Mas providing the continuation option behind. Kobos taking the deep space. Finds Perez instead. Quick stumble through the D. You can see some of the fatigue beginning to set in. There's been a few turnovers here. Another one has been generated. It's the wind and the fatigue.
It's the story of the weekend so far, I think. Like, especially as points go on, when you get past kind of a minute or two running on the sand, it's so difficult. So you can see simple things like not stepping out as much on throws become really tough. So Polonki will have to go the full field into the wind here, but this would be a huge break for them.
You can see them taking their time and setting up, neither team really wanting to rush and allowing to set up slowly. But it does also mean that no cuts are really coming. What was an almost panic shot does find Velocevic. Miscommunication on the cut.
Yeah, we've entered war of attrition phase of this point now. Maybe 3 minutes in. Sharks with another chance to slot it in. Relatively short field to do so as well.
A great find for the front of stack. High release flick to Perez. Immediate spike celebration. They must be super elated to have finally gotten that.
Yeah, looks like relief on the faces of all those players. They want to get off the field, get some shade and get a drink. That's what I'd be doing anyway. Gigi, who's been impressing you so far in the women's division? I'm sure you've seen a lot more of the competition than I have as a player, so I'd love to know who you think is looking good so far.
Well, we covered Troubles versus Jinx this morning.
We were watching that in our apartments. What a game.
So good. Like, that's almost definitely going to be the final, or at least a strong contender for the final.
We were so confused because we knew we were playing a pre-quarter, and we were like, they both went like 3-0 or 4-0. How are they playing each other this early? And turned out a reseeding game. But
yeah,
great of both teams to show up and like go all in and not just say, well, you know, we'll save the legs for later.
Yeah,
let's get a real test early on.
Yeah, so they're definitely the first ones that come to mind. But this whole women's division has been so exciting. If any, well, all three divisions, we've had multiple universe point games, or at least like within 2, maybe 3. So it's really quite close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soaring pull up to not to be caught. Radzimirska finds Marjalek. And again, the Sharks defense really opting to poach, and it's successful. The quick bid through from Prada. San Marco. Escalona. Back to San Marco. Quick dishes across the front of the end zone, trying to get the initial cut from that front area. Beautiful stuff. Benedicto for the assist. Was that a bookends as well? Or am I confused?
Maybe not a bookends, but certainly like Sharks using every player. It looked like Benedicto knew she was going to throw that before she'd even caught the disc on the edge of the end zone. As soon as she got the disc in her hand, oh, it is a bookends. I'm completely wrong as usual. So massive bookends there, but yeah, incredible. The Sharks clearly so well drilled on the sand that they almost know what they're going to do before it even happens, and that's so tough to stop as a defender on a surface where turning is nigh on impossible.
Yeah, it's a pretty lethal strategy, and we see that from the top beach teams around the world, not just in Europe. If you can get your feet jabber stepping really quickly, getting the disc moved off as quickly as possible, so as soon as you're caught, it's out of your hands. Nobody can stop you, really.
We have breaking news from intrepid reporter Benji Reese. Troubles 6-3 down in their quarterfinal, I believe, to Salisbury, so that would certainly, at least in my eyes, be a bit of an upset after the performance. What I said earlier, they went all in on the seeding game. Is that going to be a little bit costly in terms of the legs? But back to this game, and Sharks with another incredible D.
Benedicto again being mentioned for her defensive prowess. Escalona, inside backhand again, so much pressure on the underneath. Sharks inching ever closer. Had the around but didn't like that option. Instead takes the backhand, quick snag out the air for Colomer.
Yeah, lovely. Sharks really, after that marathon point, seem to almost take the energy from the game and decide this is where we're going to push on. As an Irish person, one of my favourite topics is sun protection. The Sharks certainly donning some lovely, it looks like zinc sun cream perhaps, matching the jerseys. If anyone knows where to get some of that sun cream in Gdańsk, I imagine if they're wearing it, it's probably pretty good, so we could use it.
I mean, you could ask them later on in the game. They're probably going to be the best people to ask.
I'll ask them. My Spanish is pretty good. If anyone knows how to say, where did you get your sun cream in Spanish, pop it in the chat and leave a like while you're at it.
That is some great plug in there, Smurf.
Smooth.
Speaking of which, I'm going to open the chat. Hello, folks. Yes. So there appears to be a timeout call. So just as the teams take a quick break, we're also going to come back to you very briefly with a message. Coming in after the timeout, Polonki got some adjustments to make, being 4 breaks down against Sharks from Barcelona, known for their beach prowess in European Ultimate. And a quick turn. The movement was looking phenomenal. They created so much space in the middle, but a simple throwaway has given Sharks another opportunity. Going to San Prada, a name that we've mentioned multiple times already. Colomer shooting deep, has Kama in the end zone and sits down into the belly button.
Incredible flick hook there. Like such, I suppose, unusual edge on the disc for a grass player or predominantly grass player. Really got the nose up with the disc so that it sat in the wind, and it meant the receiver could just jog onto the disc. It was going to sit there all day. So incredible throw. Sharks have really turned it on since that marathon point. It's been 3 or 4 Ds in a row, and they look like they're going to be tough to stop now in terms of having the momentum in this game.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're wanting to carry that through as they've taken half here, 7-2. So for the weekend, games are only to 13 as compared to the usual 15 for grass ultimate. So half is at 7, naturally. But there aren't any timed halves, so it's just mirror from the start. So switch over. So in this circumstance, Polonki are going to be starting on defense. Sharks are coming out with their O-line, we haven't seen in 4 points.
Okay, maybe a little bit cold then. Hard to see how anyone would be cold in this insufferable heat, but they might be. It looks like we have some English language teachers in the chat, which is pretty handy, or Spanish language teachers. So I'll certainly be copy-pasting that into my asking when they take home this victory.
I think that this would be a great opportunity for it to be a practice round.
Yeah, Benji was saying he wants to practice his Spanish, so maybe we'll hop on like I guess and give it a go. But
a guest slot of the guest slot.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Perez. And Mas. Andrante. Back over to Perez. Oh, full extension bid. Kovas. Shark making quick work. Mas has Andrante in the space, but Kovas is free. It looked like there might have been a pick call, but it does seem to have been retracted. What a way to start the second half. A clean hold.
Yeah, if there were any concerns about being a little bit cold coming out of half and having not played in 4 or 5 points, the O-line for Sharks certainly put them to bed. Looked like, and when you get home from work after a long day and your dog hasn't been outside the entire day and just wants to release all the energy, all of the Sharks cutters were going full gas there downfield and made that one look pretty simple. So impressive defense.
That's such a great anecdote. I love that.
Completely filtered. Apologies if it offends.
I'm sure it won't. Just got a shot there of some of the people in the grandstands. We've got some fans. I'd imagine they're probably Polonki fans.
I have to think so. Although there's some Sharks, I think Sharks have a male matching team as well, or an open team here, so looks like they're giving their women's team some support.
A great upwind pull, full power in this wind. The Sharks coming back with this zone, but the space in the middle is wide open. He makes quick work of it. Upstairs and backhand, not a problem for Marjalek. Rudy. Dish is back. Beautiful inside flick. Depovska. Really wants the reset. Manages to almost get there, but there's a discussion on the hand block.
Oh, Felix straight in. Incredible speed across the sand there from the cameraman.
But if you say you already...
Okay. The thing is, I didn't release the disc from my head. I don't know if I had. I really had no. Like, no, I don't.
So I was looking at...
I think I didn't put it in the air.
Okay.
It's fine. It's in the hand. So straight.
Is it straight?
We love the hand signals. Great use.
Really good conversation there as well. It seemed like the Sharks player was kind of stating what she thought had happened, but then as soon as the Polonki player said that she still had it in the hand, uncontested strip straight away.
And after some great flow, finding that again, the forehand just caught the wrong edge of the wind, floating over the top of Marjalek.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like an 8-2 game in terms of how the teams are playing. Polonki offense has been smooth. It's been like tight margins or incredible plays on the Sharks side of things, but it's Polonki are done by to only have 2 points on the board so far.
The Sharks D-line with another opportunity, having to squat into that catch. There's 2 players down, but nobody seems to stop them, those 2, so let's carry on with gameplay. Deep cut, a quick jab step underneath, fake the defender, and a great shot to go along with it.
Unbelievable deep cut there. Kind of came into the lane, waited for her moment to strike, and I think tried out the deep first, came under hard and saw the back of the defender, and then just burned off deep. And a beautiful throw as well. An easy go up when we've seen Paul struggling to kind of reach the end zone to throw that flick all the way and keep it down, press inside.
That's the cut that you'll only get from somebody who's experienced in beach ultimate.
100%. I'm falling over if I try to make that cut.
Got some locals enjoying the beach views. I can imagine that some players and some volunteers have had some conversations with locals about what on earth is going on. Why are you throwing plastic around?
Always an interesting conversation. Spreading the sport. We had an Irish guy on the sidelines at CFC, who had a cousin. Didn't realise that I was from Ireland because I was wearing a McDonnell American jersey, but after a few seconds, he quickly picked up the accent. So
another phenomenal pull, confidently received. The Sharks seem to be forcing middle again, going in for those switches, trying to prevent any sort of disc movement through the center. It's slowing Polonki down. Bolosevic. Orbanska goes to sand and holds on. Back to Milosevic. Little too far for the intended receiver. Almost had the backup. The Sharks now knocking on the door of double digits. Escalona. Even under defensive pressure, Trevino holds on. Eyes on disc the whole time. Phenomenal, just strong execution, unfortunately.
Yeah, tough throw, but I mean, Sharks have shown that they can complete that action a couple times so far this game, so no harm in trying it, but it seemed like the wind just pushed that disc down as it was starting to creep into the field.
The Sharks defense has been dangerous against Polonki. Had the deep cut provided, also the cut under, but marked out completely. Escalona standing in the lane, and the Polonki thrower did some fantastic work. There seems to be a pit call, but didn't affect the earlier play. Looking for a reset. Stall count rising. Getting dangerously close to the top there. Milosevic toes in the sideline. That was Orbanska. Also seems to have some sort of sun cream, zinc sun cream on the left shoulder there.
Ooh, interesting place for it.
And that sixth defender, as you mentioned earlier on, is wreaking havoc.
But the Sharks' downfield body positioning is so intelligent. You can see they really understand like what's a tough space to throw to on the beach, forcing the Polonki thrower to throw it over the shoulder, downwind, and causing the turnover there. So smart from
provides the option. Dish between Kama and Trevino. Trevino calling for options, does find the under. Colomer. Oh, underneath the bidding defender's arm, the around backhand break, bringing it to 10-2. That's 2 breaks in a row in the second half.
Yeah, can't fault Polonki's effort at all. They've been throwing themselves around. They're playing hard defense on the turn. Good moves. Grab. Results long for finals. Seagulls up 8-4 on first seed E6, which is a little bit of a flip from the pool play game. It looks like Jinx are also up on Undercover Dresden, and Troubles Salisbury is all level at 7-all.
That's a pretty big jump up from the score that we saw earlier on.
Absolutely. These conditions, things can change pretty fast. That'll be interesting to see how that.
Of all of the live scores through the EBUCC live results website, and of course any of the stream games that you want to watch either live or if you want to watch them back. Like, follow, subscribe to ulti.TV. We're providing coverage all weekend, all completely free.
Incredible. What a service.
Muznik. Rudy. Polonki not having gained very many meters in the backfield so far, having to quickly dish between handlers. Having various receivers jinking in and out of the backspace, do find the up the line. They found the gaps in this Shark zone. Rudy, across the road to Milska. Rudy is going every other. Is completely free on this sideline. It is taken. From take time
Commentator's curse, GG.
I keep
What have you
doing
done?
that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Polonki.
It is all my fault.
You can have some words after this.
Please do.
But it was much more patient offense. They were shown that like the disc skills on Polonki are really strong. It's just at this point in the game, 12 points in, it's so tough against this Sharks effort. Oh, what a bid.
Benedito trying to make that bid again. He's been such a powerful athlete with lock to her name. And there, that's
like a foul on. Probably the only reason that anyone could overthrow Benedito is because there was a hand on the disc. But Sharks will retain the disc. 3 points to take themselves into the semi-finals.
seems to be accepted. Check back in. Andrande finds Prada. Benedito. Not liking any of the options, but does find a beautiful upline. San Marco. Elation. Sharks now only 2 points away. That is a 9-point separation.
What a clinic from the Sharks D-line there. Every player looks so comfortable on the disc. The fakes are incredible. Polonki have to respect everything because they've shown they can break the mark. Benedito there manages to squeeze it up the line, and once you get one of those breaks off on the beach, it's so hard to recover as a defensive unit. So Sharks cascading down for the goal. You can see the passion on the goal there as well. It doesn't matter if you're 9 points up. Everyone clearly means a lot to the Sharks team, which probably suggests they're pretty bought in for going a long way in this tournament.
And they're staying locked in as well. It's often quite tempting that when you're getting this big of a separation to start to step off and think, oh, we've got this. I trust everyone else to pick up for me and start slacking. But no, everyone seems to be completely locked in.
We have a sole swimmer out in the Baltic Sea there that was on camera for a second. A braver person than I, although it does look very tempting to get into that ice cold water right now. But I don't think I'll be joining that madam today. Close.
Your first Brit pull of the game, I believe. I could be wrong. Nobody fact check me on that, please. It can be quite tricky to find the brick mark on these sidelines. There's just a small wrapping of tape around the sideline itself to indicate where roughly the brick mark is going to be parallel to. There's so much pressure. They were calling for match defense and the bid on the underneath. I believe there is a foul call.
I think it might just be a D. And then the follow through landed on her head, so maybe just needed a second to gather herself. But incredible pressure. But like you said, just not stopping at all despite the big differential.
The throw whizzing past the intended receiver, but got a backup. I love this option. Not really anticipating it. Unfortunately, having to go to sand. Putting the hat back on in the right place.
I think we can all relate to the pain that receiver felt. You're kind of losing your balance. You can see she's struggling to get any kind of power in those legs, but makes every single ounce of effort she can and goes for the grab, and now gets rewarded with the chance to play a little bit more defense on this heavy sand.
The dump is sitting quite deep into the end zone, really wanting to isolate the cutters as much as possible, draw out that sagging D, the beautiful around backhand shot, defensive pressure on the back shoulder. Orbanska not able to get there, immediately calls the turnover. I loved that look though, the step around the pivot, forward and through, just
Aesthetically so beautiful. Tough throw to complete, but really looked nice. Seemed like there was maybe a little bit of contact down by the catch as well, but both players just having a quick chat about, did it affect it all? Didn't need to stop the game, just keep playing as much frisbee as possible.
So quite a few turnovers already in this point. We've had a fair few clean ones, at least relatively clean, at least singular turnovers, but this time we've got 3 turnovers. Sharks making quick work of that instead, taking charge. And Perez in the end zone for Sharks, 1 point away.
We're getting close.
And Polonki, like as you mentioned previously, they're still playing incredibly well. It doesn't feel like this much of a margin. They've been getting on the end zone line, but that one error that causes them to just have that lapse in concentration and lose focus is what has been the game changer, because then Sharks have been like, right, well, I've got to do my job now.
Yeah, 100%. Great resilience from the Polonki team. At the end of the day, like, we still all want to make plays and play some good frisbee regardless of what the numbers are on the scoreboard, and they're showing that they want to fight all the way to the end, which I think Sharks will appreciate as well. You want as much of a challenge as you can get in the bracket, so certainly putting up a good test, and Sharks are being kind of battle hardened by this game. Trouble Salisbury still all tied up at 8s.
Oof. Yeah, this women's division is looking spicy. We'll be moving into semi-finals later on today. Is Jorska trying to find the dump? Does. Radzimirska to Marjalek. Had eyes for Topovska, but I don't think Topovska had eyes for the disc.
No, but a nice look. Again, you may as well give it a go at this stage. Nothing to lose. We'll see if Sharks can finish this off in the same clinical fashion that they've shown most of this game.
Inside flick. That backhand does soar across the other sideline. But Benedito, again, using those speedy athletic legs to get across. Trevino. Nava with a great bid. It's these break throws that seem to be making a huge difference. It's just opening up the entire pitch for them. Benedito, can she finish it off for Sharks? And she does! 13-2.
Incredible. What a game. What a performance from Sharks. If I'm in the women's division, I certainly don't want to face them. Looks like they know exactly what they want to do on offense. Applied a ton of pressure on defense, and, you know, props to Polonki for sticking in that game the whole way through, but I think just outmatched by the Sharks team in this one.
Yeah, it was a game of some poaching on the underneath, getting really into the space. Sharks with some pace on the sand, absolutely racing through everything. And then their break throws opening up the entire pitch, providing so many options. And Polonki as well with some incredible plays, some toe-ins, we had some bids, some beautiful throws. The Sharks showing some love to the crowd in the stands. And over to us as well. That's nice.
Appreciated.
But as we finish off this quarter-final, we just have a quick look at the stats. So Sharks with all of the breaks from that game. Polonki with a fair few turns, 17-7. Clean holds, almost level. And Sharks taking as many of those break opportunities as they can, only losing out of 4 out of the 10.
That's incredible. In these conditions, to have 14 chances to break and cash in 10 is just shows how clinical they are as a defensive unit as well. So that's the big one that stands out to me there.
Well, thank you very much for tuning in to this women's quarter-final here at EBUCC. For Sam Murphy, I'm Gigi Morrison, and we'll catch you later.
Yep.